Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing? I'm just putting up my praise up this morning. Oh, I'm going to play that again. I'm going to rewind that tune again. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. It's a read. The lyrics are just amazing. Let me see if I can turn it up a bit before we start the show. You are the one that remains. Beautiful, beautiful song. What am I doing? I think I'm here twice. I don't know what I'm doing. Your love is not temporary, up and down. Good morning. When it starts, it won't stop. Your love will keep going. His love keeps going, never changes. And on, you are dependable. He's dependable. So I say thank you. Do you know when everyone leaves us, he's still there. Good morning. He'll never leave us. He's faithful. Just putting up my praises this morning before we start the show. Every high and low, he stays. Here today, the far away, you be there when they are not. The love just keeps going. Oh. He's so faithful. He's dependable. When everyone leaves us, when all the haters hate us, he's dependable. Join me this morning. What's your 2023 going to look like this morning? That's what we're talking about this morning. What's your 2023 going to look like? Woo! Putting up my praises this morning. Join me on the show. Woo! He's the only one that I can rely on. I can't rely on nobody else but him. Wow, powerful, isn't it? Powerful. He's always there. Morning, Rose. Always, I can count on him. I can count on him. Woo! I can count on him always. Woo! He's faithful. Woo! He'll never leave me. He'll never leave you. We can count on him. Woo! He's dependable. He's dependable. Woo! Yep. When people betray us, when people use us, he is dependable. Woo! Having church today. Woo! We are dependable. He's dependable. Woo! And he never changes. People may change and they may come and go, but he never changes. Woo! What's your 2023 gonna look like? Woo! He's dependable. Woo! He's faithful. When I get lonely, woo! Woo! He's dependable. Woo! He's dependable. Hey, he's dependable. Just having my praise before we start this morning. This is what I do. I'm a bit of a crazy woman. But you know what? He is dependable this morning. Welcome to the Angela Lee Show. It's our last show for the year 2022. It's our last show. And so, yeah, what's your 2023 going to look like? And it all depends on what you put out there in terms of your intentions, in terms of your goals, your SMART goals. It all depends on that. And it also depends on your mindset. It also depends on your mindset, and it also depends on how you're going to finish 2022. So that's what we're talking about this morning. I've had my praise, my incense is burning at the background, and I feel so inspired because guess what? The creator of the universe is dependable. Do you know, when people let us down, when they betray us, when they use us, when our family misunderstands us, he is dependable. I just want to put it out there, particularly in a climate where people are committing suicide, at the end of their tether, feeling helpless and hopeless in the times of this crisis that we have. I just want to put it out there that there's someone that you can depend on that is dependable, and he will never let you down. I'm just going to play a number before we start going this morning. I'm just going to play a lovely number before we start going. Woo! The show this morning. Share the show. Anyone that you know that needs to hear the show this morning, share the show. What's your 2023 going to look like? What's it going to look like? What's it going to look like this morning? Send me a message. How are you doing? You can be whatever you choose this morning. Woo! What's your 2023 going to look like this morning? It all depends on you this morning. What is it going to look like, your 2023? How are you going to start it? It all depends on you this morning. Before we start the show, share it. I've shared it to a couple of people. If there's anyone that you believe that needs to hear the show this morning, then share it. We're going to be looking about how we can set our SMART goals this morning. So join in the conversation. What's your 2022 going to look like this morning? Wow, someone's just said me something. I'm amazed. Someone's trying to make me smile this morning. How you doing? Woo! Good morning. Good morning, Kaz. Kaz is saying living healthy and personal growth. Woo! What's your 2023 gonna look like this morning? It all depends on you this morning. You have everything that you need. You've got everything that you need. Welcome to the show. And it all depends on you. It all depends on you. It all depends on you. How you're going to start your new year. It's entirely up to you this morning. And before we start the show, I was trying to, I don't know, it won't let me share this thing on, I was trying to share it on WhatsApp, but I guess, you know what, I will share it later on. But hey, yeah, good morning. Welcome to the last show of the year. It's Sunday, the 18th of December, 2022. What's your 2023 going to look like? Once you've made a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen, according to Ralph Waldo Emerson. I'm going to read that again. Once you make a decision, the universe is going to conspire to make it happen. So it's entirely up to you whether you're going to be working with the universe this morning. It's entirely up to you. And so we can't blame anyone. We can't blame anyone anymore. We have to take responsibility of our lives, and it's entirely up to us how 2023 is going to play out. It's entirely up to us. It's entirely up to us. And so before we start the show, I just want to share a few words of gratitude this morning before we start, and particularly in a world that we're living in. And I just want to give, a bit of appreciation to my listeners in 2022 for staying with me on the show. I know sometimes it's been a bit up and down, particularly because, as you know, I'm studying my master's at the same time as I juggle, and I'm working and I'm writing and I'm doing all sorts of things. So thank you for staying with me. But however, I just want to be mindful of a couple of things before we start. And I'm mindful of a lot of people that did not actually make it to complete the year of 2022. I'm mindful. But I just want to show appreciation to the creator of the universe for keeping us safe in 2022, because a lot of people didn't make it. People such as Stephen Twitch, who died a few days ago, and a young lady who was crushed to death and died in Brixton whilst they were watching that live performance of that Nigerian artist. And the other two ladies that are actually in critical condition fighting for their lives. And I also want to remember all the others that have not actually made it. I just want to continue our gratitude this morning, or gratitude sentiments to the creator of the universe, because I am so appreciative. I'm so grateful. I've got a personal relationship with him, and I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful for lots of things that he has done, particularly for me personally. And I'm sure that you can equally share your gratitude this morning. So I just want to thank him for keeping us again in 2022 in terms of our mental health and our well-being, because lots of us have struggled, but we give thanks because he's kept us sane and he's kept us balanced. Just also want to give thanks for allowing us to become aware of our reality, the reality of our situation, because we know that real change starts when we begin to observe ourselves. Not observing others, but observing self. That's when real change starts. So we thank him for that awareness. Also, we want to thank the creator of the universe for allowing many of us to honor and to listen to our intuition, which is our ultimate guide, and not ignoring those vital signals. I also want to thank the creator of the universe for the opportunities to make the necessary changes in terms of growing and learning from our individual life's lessons. I just want to share a quote. Without the way, there is no going. Without the truth, there is no knowing. Without the life, there is no living. I'm going to repeat that. Without the way, there is no going. Without the truth, there is no knowing. Without life, there is no living. That's what I like to share with you this morning. And so, how are you doing this morning? How are you doing this morning? Someone's just sent me a message. And so, personally, it's actually been an incredible year, 2022, in terms of growth. And I have been able to achieve so much. And I want to give thanks to the creator of the universe. It's been a challenging year, but it's been a growth year. And I'm sure lots of you can actually resonate with that. Let me know. And one of the key things that I can take away in 2022 and in absolutely many years is the fact that no matter the pain of whatever we're experiencing, no matter the challenge, I think it's so important to remember that there are a lot of people that are actually struggling and suffering. And there is a saying that, sometimes people would love to be in our shoes, because sometimes we think that our challenges are surmountable, but there's loads of people that would like to be in our shoes. And so we want to recognize that, and we want to give thanks. Because when we think that our situations are dire, there's many other people that are actually in a worse situation than us. And so we need to give thanks for small mercies. And I want to give an example of a typical situation. And I'm not going to be naming names, of this particular young man whose parents faced a lot of adversity, which resulted in him becoming homeless at the tender age of 14. And this young man was not responsible for what happened to him, because it was the choices of his parents. And it was merely through a series of traumatic events that impacted on his family. And so equally, his parents actually experienced a lot of traumatic events, why they ended up in the situation that they're in. And so sometimes it's so easy to judge and pass judgments on people. And we fail to actually comprehend people's backstories, because there's a reason why people behave the way they behave. And I am, or I can testify to that. I mean, where I work, I teach English to students that actually struggle a lot with their mental health and their well-being. And you will be alarmed at some of the stories, or some of the backstories, or even the current stories that these young people are struggling with. And I'm sharing the show as I'm speaking to you, so that lots of people who need to hear this can actually hear it. And so you will be surprised of their backstories based on traumatic experiences. And so people behave the way they behave because of their experiences. And another good example of that is Harry and Meghan's documentary on Netflix. And I'm not sure if you have watched it. If you haven't, then you need to watch it. I'm their advocate here. I was quite amazed when they followed me on TikTok because I've been promoting their show, because I can actually resonate with their pain. And so it takes courage to speak about your experience. It takes courage to actually be vulnerable and share your experience. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And it takes a lot of courage also to put yourself out there, to be perhaps ostracized by society and the media because you've been brave enough or courageous enough to call a spade a spade. You've been courageous enough to say, actually, no, enough is enough. I need to break this generational cycle that's been a part of my family for centuries. It takes a lot of courage because you're going to receive a lot of flack and attack. You can be cancelled if you dare to call a spade a spade. So I just want to commend Harry and Meghan this morning. I also want to commend another lady that runs a charity, Sister Space, who was also equally courageous for calling a spade when she actually mentioned that actually it's not okay for you to repeatedly ask me where I come from based on the color of my skin. And so as a result of that, she was able to receive an apology. And actually, Harry and Meghan are now demanding that same apology because, after all, they're family. But in spite of apologies, because sometimes some people won't ever apologize because they are not aware. They're not consciously aware of their behavior. They actually believe that their behavior is acceptable. Good morning, Christopher. And so, irrespective of whether we get this apology or not, we need to be mature enough to accept the fact that there's lots of people out there that are still living in an illusion or still living in denial of their circumstances, of their situation, and they will never, ever apologize. And so for many of us, we will never, ever actually receive that apology. And you know what? It's okay. Because we know the truth, and they know the truth, and the universe knows the truth of what happens. And we know that karma has no deadline. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. So none other than ourselves are the master of our fate. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, many of us have inherited past trauma, ancestral trauma, archetypes from our ancestors that's been passed down from generation to generations in terms of trauma, whether it's abuse, whether it's neglect, whatever that trauma looks like. However, despite that, we are the master of our fate. We are the captain of our souls, and we need to recover. If our 2023 is going to ever be different, we need to recover. Just want to take a break and just welcome for those that are just joining me for the first time. It's the Angela Lee Show, and we are streaming live on Facebook Live on my YouTube channel, Angela Lee. So don't forget to subscribe. I haven't been posting things on my YouTube channel for ages, so do subscribe. Also streaming live on Anchor FM, and I'm recording on Anchor FM as well. And so I'll send the link where you can actually listen to that again. And so good morning to you. This is the Angela Lee Show, also streaming via Spotify, via Anchor. So good morning to you. Just want to also mention that it is so important for us to remember that we are the architects of our souls. And we say this because we have the power to control our thoughts, and all thoughts are a form of energy that moves in high vibration rates. And these are filled or fueled by universal law that adapts itself to our thoughts and translates those thoughts into physical equivalents. And that's quoted from Think and Go Rich. And so let's just imagine our thoughts, they form energy. And that energy that our thoughts generate, it vibrates. And so it can either vibrate high or it can vibrate low. However, however you're vibrating, those thoughts that are fueled with energy are filled with universal law that dictates that whatever you put out is going to be returned back to you. And it translates those thoughts and that energy and that vibration into a physical equivalent in terms of manifestation. So the birth of your 2023 is wholly dependent on how we end 2022. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the forthcoming digital reset in terms of the New World Order, and particularly on a global scale in terms of the changing face on how we are going to be doing business. And so it's quite apparent that perhaps we also need to carry out a reset in terms of our mindsets and get rid of anything that is hindering or that's going to hinder your progress for 2023. It's absolutely paramount, because whether we believe it or not, there's actually going to be a digital reset next year. Good morning to you, Anisa and Angie Hayes. Good morning. And so whether we believe it or not, whether we're living in illusion or whether we're living in our own bubble, there's going to be a digital reset next year. And so similarly, we need to also reset our mindsets in 2023 if it's going to be any different to 2022. So let's take a moment to actually reflect on our year. Let's just take a moment. In terms of life's lessons, the lessons that life taught us this year, did we listen? Did we make the necessary changes? Were you able to accomplish your goals that you set in 2022? Were you able to grow from relationships with friends, family, colleagues, friend enemies? The onus is on us to take responsibility for the choices that we have made. So we can't play the blame game anymore. Personally, I have decided that I will no longer caretake, rescue, enable, chase. I decided that a decade ago. However, it's a daily reminder. And if anyone wants to remain in my life, then they would need to show me an equal give and take. Because I'm no longer chasing. I'm no longer rescuing. I'm no longer enabling. I'm no longer caretaking. And this goes for friends, family, colleagues, and foe. And this is the stance that we need to take. That we're no longer going to be chasing people that are not reciprocating what we're putting out. We should demand an equal give and take here. And I'm sure that you will all agree this morning that time is much too short to be pussyfooting around with karmic, toxic people. So let's take a moment. Let's take a minute and reflect this morning. Just want to shout out all those listeners that are listening this morning. And as I mentioned, we are streaming live on StreamYard, on Altec FM, on Anchor FM, I should say, via Spotify, also streaming live on my YouTube channel, Angela Lee, so don't forget to subscribe, and on Facebook Live this morning. This is the last show for the year 2020. And so irrespective of whether we are able to achieve all our goals that we have set in 2022, we don't have to literally beat ourselves up, because guess what? Hey, we can always carry over to the other year. And it's quite refreshing when we can achieve our goals, but hey, sometimes life happens and different priorities set in. And so we need to learn to just go with the flow. However, being mindful of our goals, of our intentions, of what we've set, of what we put out there, what we're going to achieve. I was able to achieve a couple of my goals, and there's some things that I'll be carrying over, and I'm not going to beat myself up, and nor should you. Thank you for sharing that link, Rose. Many blessings to you. So what is your 2023 going to look like? And at times we can get caught up with that notion of making new resolutions, and we tend to break them. However, we know only too well that nothing changes if nothing changes. I'm going to repeat that. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And so, if you're not going to make the necessary changes in terms of your mindset, guess what? Hey, 2023 is going to be no different than 2022. If you're not going to make the necessary changes for growth in terms of your relationship with self, guess what? You're going to remain the same in 2023. If you refuse to make the necessary growth in terms of your family life, relationship, business life, guess what? You're going to remain the same. And sometimes the universe will force you to grow. And sometimes that's not actually a nice experience when you're forced to grow. I would much rather put in my set of goals and put my intentions out there and grow. Because when the universe forces you to grow, it can actually be a bit ugly. And so if you refuse to grow, if you refuse to change, then you're going to have a repeated year. And so it's not going to be a happy new year. It's going to be the same year as 2022, as 2021. And so the onus is up to you to make the necessary changes in terms of shifting your mindset to another level. Raising your energy levels. That starts with your thought processes. That transports those thoughts into vibration rates. It's up to you to shift your mindset, to shift your limiting belief systems that you perhaps inherited, that shaped your narrative in terms of the way you view things. There is a saying that, if you say you can, you can. If you say you can't, you can't. You have exactly what you say. And so in the midst of your turmoil, in the midst of your pain, in the midst of your challenges, you need to raise your vibrations to another level and speak those things that be not as though they were. And Isa is saying, yes. And Isa is saying yes to a higher frequency level. And so the onus is up to us to raise our vibration. The onus is not on our family. The onus is not on our friends. The onus is not on anyone else, but us. We need to take responsibility of our thought processes because we have the power to control our mindsets, our thoughts. And guess what? We all have intrusive thoughts. They come to us on a daily. We all have it. No one is above intrusive thoughts. Those intrusive thoughts that reminds us of past mistakes or reminds us of past betrayals. Those intrusive thoughts that bring us low, that drag us down. Those intrusive thoughts that listen to the naysayers. We have the ultimate power to control those thoughts and to change the energy and the frequency level. We have the power. And I'm talking from a lot of experience for those that are saying, okay, Angela, what are you talking about? There's lots of people that struggle with their mental health and struggle with anxiety and struggle with paranoia and struggle with psychosis. I know too well because, as I mentioned, I've recovered. I've recovered from depression. I've recovered from suicidal thoughts. I've recovered from intrusive thoughts. I've recovered from anxiety. I've recovered from a brain tumor. I've recovered from domestic violence in terms of emotional and psychological abuse. I've recovered. I'm talking from experience. And as I mentioned, I'm actually studying my master's in psychology and mental health, and it's actually shed a whole light in terms of what mental health really looks like. And a lot of it starts with our mind set, our thought processes. And equally, it also starts in terms of the root causes, as I mentioned when I began the show, in terms of what was projected, what was transferred from our ancestors, from our family, from our parents, that we have inherited. Unsubconsciously, we have inherited their trauma. And it's up to us in 2023 to release that. We need to release all the trauma that we've inherited from our ancestors. And it goes as far as, and particularly for the Black community, as slavery. Because we've inherited all that trauma. And for other people outside of the Black community, you've got your own trauma that you've inherited. Your own family systems, your own family dynamics. And I mentioned Harry and Meghan because they inherited their family's traumas too, in terms of that generational cycle of not expressing your opinion, of not showing no emotion, of remaining numb. That leads to anxiety, that leads to depression. When we repress our feelings and our thoughts, we become numb. And I get it, because some of us have become numbified because of the trauma that we faced. And, we use it as a camouflage to protect us from pain, or to protect us from being constantly abused and used. I only know too well. But I don't want to become a robot where I can't feel anything, where I can't express anything. I don't want to become numbified. Do you? Kaz is saying, so true, trauma. Angie is saying, I find a vision board helps. Absolutely. Whatever you need to do to transition to a new year for 2022, so that you don't repeat whatever 2022 looked like for you, then get a vision board. Yeah, absolutely. I have a vision board. I'm not sure about you, but I had to let go of a few things and people in 2022. I've been amazed about people's stories that they've experienced in terms of, people in their inner circle switching and turning on them and betraying them. People in their own inner circle. And so we're living in a society where people can't even trust each other. We've seen things played out on social media where people are attacking each other because of their intimate inner circle have betrayed them. And so sometimes we need to let go of a few people. We need to let go of things. And I've had to do that. It's been difficult in many instances because these are people that we actually love. These are people that we like. But we need to let go of things, particularly people, places, and things that are not aligning with our future self, as difficult as that may be. And no doubt, there are certainly some things that I refuse to carry over in 2023. And so the onus is on ourselves to set the appropriate boundaries, to set the appropriate intentions, and protect ourselves with those healthy boundaries. And it's equally important that we listen to our intuition. That is our guide. That we don't ignore the pull, the tucks, the voices. Our intuition is our moral compass that speaks to us. And I can actually testify to not listening to that in the past. And as a result of me not listening to my intuition, to that voice, to that tuck, I found myself in some situations. I found myself facing some unnecessary challenges because I refused to listen. And so in 2023, we need to listen. Because if we don't listen, myself included, we're going to have a repeat. We're going to have a repeat. And the universe will send these repeated lessons until we learn. We'll be forever on this karmic wheel, going round and round in circles. And we're wondering, why am I always going through this? Why am I meeting the same people? Why am I attracting the same soulmate? Why? Because you haven't listened to the lesson. You haven't learned the lesson. And so you'll be going round and round year after year, tripping on the same thing because you refuse to change. You refuse to listen. You refuse to grow. It's fundamental that we set smart goals in terms of moving forward in 2023. And I know that a lot of us, because we work in businesses, a lot of us, we work in industry. And Isa is saying, the pretend friends, it's sad reality, and we must filter out toxic people in our lives because it's self-care. Absolutely. Absolutely. Pretentious people that are coming with their alternative motives, their hidden agendas. And that's why it's so crucial that you listen to your intuition. But the only way you're going to be able to listen to your intuition is if you're vibrating, if you're aligned to the right frequency, if you are aligned with the universe in terms of where your mindset is at. That's the only way you're going to be able to listen. That's the only way you're going to be able to filter out these pretend friends that are coming with sinister agendas. Because guess what? Parasites are attracted to light. I remembered having a conversation before. I was thinking, oh my God, why am I attracting all these people? This is a couple of years ago. And people were saying to me, Angela, don't, take it easy on yourself. It's got nothing to do with you. Parasites are attracted to light. So these people will be forever attracted to you. Leeches. However, it's important that we listen to our intuition. And so let's look at how we can start our SMART goals in terms of moving forward for 2023, because we've left all those people behind, all those pretend friends, we've left them behind. And let's do a little thing this morning. For those that are listening, let's do a little exercise before we move on to setting these goals and to looking at what these goals look like this morning. Let's do something this morning. Okay, so wherever you are, I want us to do this little exercise, and you can listen to my voice over the airways. If you can see me on social media, great. Okay, so let's sit down on a chair, and you can close your eyes if you like. I'm going to open my eyes, and let's take a deep breath in. and let's exhale out. Let's do that one more time. Let's take a deep breath in. And let's exhale out. Let's take a deep breath in again. And let's exhale out. And I want us now to think about all these people that we need to release in 2022 as the year is coming to an end. I want us to take a few minutes, if you want to write down a couple of names, people, places, and things that you need to release in 2022. Let's do that right now. I've got a couple of people that I've already released. People, places, and things that I've already released that I won't be visiting for 2023. And so just make a list. Take some time out. It's going to give you a minute. Let's write down a few things, a few people, places, people, and things. Places, people, and things that we're going to be releasing in 2022. Because guess what? We've got to release them now so that they don't follow us in 2023. Okay, so here we go. Inhale. And let's say together, I release, and name those people, places, and things that you're going to be releasing. I release. I will not visit those places anymore. I will not carry these pretentious people anymore. I will not visit those events anymore. I release those people that have betrayed me in 2022. I release those people that have used me in 2022. I release those people that have hurt me in 2022. I forgive myself and I release myself. I set myself free. Breathing is so powerful. And so we've released them. Most importantly, we have to also forgive ourselves. Before we can forgive others, we forgive ourselves. I forgive myself for not listening to my intuition, for not listening to my still small voice, for not listening to my inner man. I forgive myself. I release myself from people, places, and things that try to enslave and entrap me from my past. I release and I let go this morning. Hope you've enjoyed that exercise with me this morning. And now we're going to talk about setting those SMART goals. And so, Rose is saying, powerful. Absolutely. we can go forward now. We can move forward with a clear head. We can now move forward with a clear mindset because we've released and we've let go. Kaz is saying it's a great exercise. Thank you. You're most welcome. And so we can move forward now with confidence that our 2023 is not going to be a repeated year, particularly if it wasn't a good year, because we've released, we've let go. So we can move confidently now in terms of setting our SMART goals. And so I don't mind if you want to take a bit of notes here, or you can replay the show, feel free to do that. I'm actually going to be running a masterclass in terms of releasing and setting our intentions next year. And so I will give you some information on that masterclass next year that I will be doing. And so in order to set our specific goals this morning, obviously we know that they have to be SMART. And when we break down what SMART looks like, and I know many of us are quite familiar with this, is that it has to be specific. So we need to know what will be done. Not only what will be done, but who will do it. So it's got to be specific. Are you going to write that book? Or are you going to have a ghostwriter? That's an example of that. Good morning, Ben. Someone just sent me a message. Are you going to start a project? How many people are you going to have to work with you? How many people are you going to partner with? How many people are you going to collaborate with in terms of how is this thing going to get done? Measurable. We need to assess the importance of our goals. How important is it for us to achieve this goal? How effective and how valuable in terms of how we can measure it is this goal going to look like? What's it going to look like in terms of the effect and the value it's going to have in terms of our unique or our niche market? That's how we can measure how important it is actually going to be. And number 3, attainable or achievable. And for example, if we're going to look at a scenario in terms of what does attainable and achievable looks like, we can say, for example, I want to double my sales in 3 months. And so what set of skills do I need to bring to the table in order to be able to achieve this? And so, for example, you could be a sales manager for, got 3 years experience as a sales manager. So straight away that your 3 years of experience in terms of sales and marketing is going to be a valuable skill set in terms of making that goal achievable and attainable. Fourthly, how realistic or how relevant is your goal? How realistic is it? I mean, can you do this? Can you write this book? Can you increase those sales? How realistic, how relevant is it? I mean, in terms of relevance, how does it align with your other goals? Can it be achievable in terms of having the right resources in order to make it happen. Perhaps you might need to collaborate, or perhaps you need to outsource a couple of things in order to make that achievable. Because you have not got the capacity to do it on your own. So it's got to be realistic. And last but not least, time bound. So we have to allocate a time frame to our goals. It can't be like a hit and miss. Oh, whenever. I'll get to that whenever. It's got to be time bound. So, for example, in 6 months, I'm going to be achieving A, B, C, D, E. And in addition to your projection in terms of that 6 months, or what that 6 months is going to look like, you're going to define what you will do or how you're going to be achieving that halfway through the process. And so you need to map out and chunk down, how is that going to be achieved? And as many of you know, I'm a life coach. And if you want some coaching in terms of whatever projects or even personal coaching, reach out. I'm going to be starting a couple of new programs next year, and I will give you some information. And so it's important for us to set goals. I've been setting goals from when I was a young girl, writing down my thoughts and what I'm going to be achieving. So I'm a driven, born goal setter. So in addition to our SMART goals, it's also important to also establish a to-do list. I live by my to-do list. And so you're clear in terms of what you're going to be doing during the day. So it's clear. You're not just merely floating. And I believed last year that I shared with you a law of attraction diary that I have, and I'm going to see whether I can find it to share it with you. And I shared that with you at the beginning of the year, if you can remember, for those that followed me. I've got a law of attraction. Can you see that diary? And if I open up a page, I'm not sure if you can see a couple of things. It gives you a lot of projection in terms of how you can break down your day. And what I quite like with this, everything's fallen out. What I quite like with this diary also is that it provides you with lots of it provides you with lots of reflective practices in terms of asking you how your month, what did your month look like? You project, things that you need to take on board. You've got like a reflective month, if I can show you there, with your wheel of life that's broken down into categories. And that's equally important in terms of setting your goals. And that law of attraction diary I bought from Amazon. I'm a good promoter here, isn't it? Amazon should pay me. That's been really beneficial for me as a person, for my personal growth and for my business growth. And so, as I mentioned, the law of attraction diary is quite effective in terms of breaking down your day along with your to-do list, because it actually helps you to constrain your day in terms of placing it to a specific time where you're going to be achieving it. So it provides you with lots of reflection in terms of mapping out what you've been able to achieve, and also defining exactly how you're going to actually achieve it through that wheel of life that breaks down into different sorts of categories in terms of finance, personal growth, health, your family, relationships, social life, attitude, and career. And so it breaks it down in that wheel. And as I mentioned, I find it really effective. Not forgetting It's absolutely crucial to establish a daily routine. That's key in order to move forward for a positive new year. A daily routine is crucial. And you've heard me champion this on so many shows. Some people call it a set of rituals, where you create a habit that forms or formulates a part of a routine. So you create a set of habits, and it takes 21 days to formulate a habit. And so, for example, of what that looks like, it could be some form of gratitude in the morning, some positive affirmations that you say to yourselves and you put out there in the universe, prayer, meditation, and some reflection, some form of exercise. And you know that I'm a gym enthusiastic person. And some time with nature. And you can incorporate, as we did that short exercise this morning, some element of breathing that will help you to release and let go of any toxic energies and stuff like that. And this can also equally be achieved through your meditation. Listening to positive messages and positive music, motivational speakers are not negative music and negative lyrics that can impact on your energy, that can impact on your vibration, how you vibrate. So listening to positive music and positive messages. There's so many messages out there, motivational speakers that you can listen to that can help you to vibrate, to keep your vibrations on that level before you kickstart your day. And so all these things you're going to be doing before you start your day. And this helps you, as I mentioned, to vibrate high, on that high frequency level. That is so key. That high frequency level, that is so important. That's going to enable you to achieve your goals for 2023. So we need to wake up early. So if you need to wake up early in order to achieve that, that's what you need to do. Because before I wake up in the morning, I do all this. Before I go to work, before I start my day, I do my daily routines. This ensures that I'm going to be vibrating on a high level, that I'm actually in tune with my intuition, that if there's any danger coming my way, I'm able to align myself. I'm not going to be caught up with the unawares because I am vibrating high. I am on a level. I'm aligned with the universe. Not saying that challenges won't come. However, guess what? We will be able to navigate through them with a good positive mindset. Just want to thank you for listening to the show this morning. And I'm hoping that you've been able to pick out some nuggets in terms of how you're going to move forward in your 2023 new year. And if you want to replay the show, feel free. As I mentioned, I'm going to be offering some coaching sessions and a masterclass in terms of how we can move forward with our year. And I will share it on my social media platforms. So thank you for listening. And it's my birthday next Sunday, so I won't be doing a show. I was actually born on the so-called Christmas Day. And so I'm going to be celebrating my birthday on Christmas Day. I don't actually celebrate Christmas, but I celebrate my birthday. So have a great week. Many blessings. Angie, Rose, Anisa, Kaz, Chris, all the listeners. Have a great Sunday. Remain positive. Remain energized. Have a great year. Many blessings to you. Many blessings. Many blessings. Many blessings. Many blessings.